Cigar Snapshot, Episode 4. And welcome back to another episode of the Cigar Snapshot Podcast, a different cigar podcast with episodes made to fit into your busy schedule. Remember, you can find us online at www.cigarsnapshot.com. Bill Bear is here once again to share with you my thoughts about a cigar. Today's episode will include a snapshot of a Montecristo Especial No. 1. This episode of the Cigar Snapshot Podcast is brought to you by the Cigar Snapshot Store, your source for Cigar Snapshot gear. Help promote the Cigar Snapshot Podcast by wearing a logo t-shirt or hat, drinking out of a logo coffee mug, or putting a sticker on your travel humidor. Go to www.cigarsnapshot.com and click Gear at the top. Well, I did receive some nice and complimentary feedback about last week's episode number 3 on the Tatuaje Black Label Petit Lancero. I received a lot of compliments about the quality of production and the content that I'm starting to include in the podcast, and I also received some feedback about the cigar. Here's a voicemail that I received from Mario in New York. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, Bill, this is the great LK from New York, sitting with Jimmy the Mum out in Jersey at the Mum Beach House. We just heard the Tatuaje review. Great review. Big Pete Johnson fan. Excellent sticks. Been smoking his line since day one, and can't wait to try these. So nice to see one of those sticks being reviewed early on. The smaller ring gauge, a lot of people should appreciate that size. Great flavors and really showcases the wrapper of the cigar. On a side note, what a sad death for that party short. I feel it's the responsibility of the person doing the laundry for the final check. Very unfortunate. Nicole dropped the ball. So, we gotta reprogram her a little bit there. Great job, Bill. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for the feedback, Mario. I appreciate it. Remember that I want to hear from all of you. It can be about the show in general, or it can be your opinion on a cigar that I've smoked and reviewed for the podcast. You can go to www.cigarsnapshot.com and leave a comment on the episode. You can email your feedback to feedback@cigarsnapshot.com. Remember, you can also send an audio file via email to be included in the podcast. You can go to facebook.com/cigarsnapshot. You can like us there and leave a comment. And you can find us on Twitter @cigarsnapshot for show updates and @maytagman1, which is my personal Twitter account. You can also leave a message on our voicemail feedback line at 209-432-3535. And now that we're on iTunes, I would appreciate it if you go to iTunes and give us a rating and a comment there. And now let's get to the cigar of the day. The cigar today is a Montecristo Especial No. 1. The box code on the cigar is 1999. The size, 7.6 inches by 38 ring gauge. The wrapper, binder, and filler are from Cuba. The Montecristo Especial No. 1 is a 1969 release that is still in current production today. The vitola is a Laguito No. 1, though a lot of people today seem to generalize and refer to any size even close to a 7.5 by 38 ring gauge as a Lancero. The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Post-Revolution Havana Cigars refers to this as a connoisseur's size and recommends a minimum of 4 years of aging. Well, since my box has a 1999 box code, these have had about 12 years of age at the time of this review. And now on to the pre-light. The wrapper was a medium brown, almost like a tanned leather kind of a color. There were no major veins, and there was a slight chip in the wrapper near the foot. It was about a 1/16 of an inch. It wasn't a big deal to me at all, and it didn't affect the smoke. There was some dark mottling about 2/3 of the way down the cigar, but it was very slight and not enough to be distracting at all. The band was very loose on the cigar and slid off of the head with absolutely no resistance at all. The pre-light aroma was dominated by cedary sawdust and a touch of leather as a very kind of understated background note. The pre-light taste consisted of strong tobacco flavors with some assertive cinnamon notes as well. Upon lighting the cigar, the cedar flavors dominated the profile right from the beginning. There's also a subtle vegetal character in the background, and it reminded me a lot of black tea. Not brewed tea, but rather the sensation or the aroma that you get when you open a container of loose-leaf black tea. The draw of the cigar was perfect, and it had lots of great smoke volume. The ash was very dark gray, and was usually good for about an inch or so at a time before falling off. It was just slightly flaky. In the second third of the cigar, the most noticeable development was a very light peppery bite that started at the very tip of my tongue. This peppery sensation continued with the vegetal qualities as the second third continued. The cedary flavors that I detected in the first third kind of faded out a little bit, and I found a subtle sweetness that started to take its place. The peppery notes in the second third began to mellow out as I got into the final third of the cigar. This left the vegetal and sweet flavors to finish the cigar. This final third ended pleasantly mild, though not in that bland sort of mild way. It was mild yet flavorful at the same time. 12 years of age has really mellowed these cigars out, and really has allowed a lot of the subtle qualities of the tobaccos to emerge. It was a pleasant change, in my opinion, from getting slapped in the face with an overdose of ligero at the expense of a balanced flavor profile. The construction was spot on throughout the whole smoke, with no need for burn correction, even though there was a slight breeze blowing outside when I was smoking. I have about a quarter of this box left, and needless to say, I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop. So that'll do it for the Montecristo Especial No. 1. Now, I had a few comments about the cigar mishap that I talked about in episode number 3, where I had the cigar that was in my pocket that ran through the washer and the dryer. Now, I didn't get any mishap stories from any of you guys, but there were several comments, and they were kind of focused around who should be checking the pockets before doing laundry. Well, I have to tell you that the results are in, and, well, they weren't surprising to me at all. The general consensus is that, well, I should be the one checking my pockets. So, anyway, if any of you have experienced any kind of cigar mishap, I'd still love to hear from you and feature it on a future episode. I just hope that I'm not the only one that does this kind of thing. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on this episode was some of the new releases that are coming out, specifically those that I'm looking forward to trying. At the time that I'm recording this episode, the 2011 IPCPR trade show was just about a month ago. And since the show, there's been a lot of buzz in the cigar blogs and other podcasts about all these new releases, and a lot of the reviews have me very interested. Here are some of the cigars that I'm looking forward to trying when they become available. First, I'd have to say the EP Carrillo Coraline Maduro and the 2011 Edición Limitada. I've really liked what Ernesto Perez Carrillo has come out with since venturing out on his own, so I'm really looking forward to trying these as well. Next would be the Crowned Heads 4 Kicks. John Hubert teamed up with EP Carrillo, so I'm sure these will be excellent cigars, since I'm a fan of his current production as well. Another cigar I'm looking forward to trying are the El Primer Mundo Epifanias. I've enjoyed the other releases from Sean Williams, so I'm looking forward to trying those as well. Next on my list is the Ilusione Epernay L'Alpinisto. It's a box-pressed torpedo in the Epernay line. So I enjoy the other Epernay cigars, so I think that'll be interesting to try. Another cigar would be the Liga Privada L40 Lancero. I tend to like the Lancero size, and I would like to try that blend in that size. I think it will be quite tasty, actually. Another cigar that I'm looking forward to trying, which is interesting, would be the Mayuzi Weighs a Ton, also from the Drew Estate camp. Though I'm not typically a fan of 60 ring gauge cigars, I've heard really good things about the blend and the flavor profile, and so I look forward to giving these a try. Another cigar I'm looking forward, actually a couple of cigars I'm looking forward to, are both from Room 101. Both their Connecticut and their Namakubi lines. Next up would be the Tatuaje La Casita Criolla. Now I know this has already been released and I can actually get a hold of them. I just haven't gotten around to ordering them yet, but I do look forward to tasting an all broadleaf cigar and seeing what that's like. Next on my list is another Drew Estate product, the Undercrown. The reviews have been great, so I look forward to trying that. So that does it for the new releases that I'm looking forward to trying. Are there any new releases that are coming out that you've heard about that you're looking forward to trying? Or have you tried any of these releases that I've mentioned and have an opinion on them? Well, let me know. Give me some feedback. Send me an email. Shoot me a voicemail. And that brings me to the last thing that I need to cover today. Well, way back in episode 1, I spent a couple of minutes, if you remember, talking about blogs and podcasts that I enjoy. Shortly after that episode was released, I received a tongue-in-cheek tweet saying, "Great first episode, and thanks for not mentioning us." So, this is for Jerry Cruz of Stogie Review. I have to say that Jerry, Walt, and Brian are the guys that are behind StogieReview.com. They put out a steady stream of excellent multimedia content, and you guys should really check them out. I do subscribe to their RSS feed and enjoy reading what they have to say about cigar news, cigar reviews, and they do all sorts of great things. And Jerry, just to let you know, I'm making this mention despite the fact that you didn't mention Cigar Snapshot on your second season video premiere of the YQMA series. You guys were talking about all the podcasts that you enjoyed, and I must have missed my name on there, so just kidding, guys. Keep up the great work. Alrighty, well, I think that'll just about do it for another episode of the Cigar Snapshot podcast. Thanks for listening, and please, please, please share your feedback with me via comment, email, or voicemail. And if you smoked a Montecristo Especial No. 1, let me know what you thought of it. Alrighty, well, I'll catch you next time, and remember, if you ask to get something for nothing, it is more than likely that you're going to get your money's worth. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Cigar Snapshot Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, I'd like to hear from you. Leave a comment at cigarsnapshot.com. Send an email to feedback@cigarsnapshot.com. Check us out on facebook.com/cigarsnapshot. Like us and leave a comment. Or call and leave your comment on the Cigar Snapshot voicemail feedback line at 209-432-3535.